We'll get started timely this morning, so thank you all for coming. This is our third of 4 capstone presentations. This is Oscillation Nation, one of my favorite titles of all time. Well, not really, but it always sounds good to say that. We have some family members here today. Mr. Fell, you're supposed to be down here front and center, but it's okay, you're way in the back. Your wife is taking your place down here, so Luke's family is here. Nathan Campbell's family is up here in the second row. And then Scott Henderson's mom is here. Tiffany works for me. And his pastor, Pastor Neil, is here as well to support them. And I don't think there's any other family members here. Is that correct, gentlemen? Okay. Now, one more time. Are there any School of Business graduates in the room, alumni in the room? Would you stand? Other than Dr. Davis, he stands every day, so it's okay. All right. What, you're not proud of the fact that you're an alumnus?
I am proud of you.
Make him sing the song.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. All right, we're going to get started right away because I know these guys want to use up every minute that's available to them today, right? Yeah, let's pray. Father, we're grateful for the day. Thank you for your goodness to us. Thank you for these young men, for their great effort they've put forward this semester. We pray, Father, that you might bless that effort today. Calm their hearts, I pray. Help them to know just the words to say. Help them to be prepared. And Lord, we pray that they might be able to answer the questions well. Father, we're just thankful again for the opportunity we have to work with young people. Thank you for the blessings that these 6 have provided to us. Father, we just pray that you might be an encouragement to them even during this hour, and we'll praise you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Nathan, you are up. Oh, excuse me, one more time. I forgot my buddy. Matt Malathi, the CEO of Marquardt, is with us as well as one of our panelists. Who cares about the professors? Matt Malathi is here too.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. I'm JP Hadamio, and we are Oscillation Nation. And today, we have the exciting opportunity to present a developing industry in entertainment. Before we get into detail of what we offer now, we want to begin with, where we started. Initially, we began this endeavor as a team that wanted to create a product similar to a tape measure that used a laser as its measurement tool. Immediately, we recognized complications and impracticalities with this idea. The idea also had a small and limited target market that would be difficult to properly attract and gain customers. Although this door was closing, we in no way felt limited when deciding to move on from this first idea. In fact, the door closing led to a door that swung wide open. Our highly motivated team was determined to create a service that would bring brand new excitement and involvement to people of all ages. And that exciting service is now here. As said before, we are Oscillation Nation. Our mission is to provide the joy of swings to all children and to all children at heart. Hopefully you have fond memories of swings, whether at recess with friends or going to the park and being pushed on a swing by a loving grandparent. We appeal to that nostalgia by providing a place where those memories can be relived and recreated with those you love. Not only can memories be recreated with our facilities, completely new and lasting memories can be made. When a customer walks in and purchases time, they'll receive access to all of the swings and attractions offered, such as your basic playground swing, friendship swings that offer a unique way of getting to know someone better as a friend, or a couple looking to enjoy a unique way of getting to know someone in a fun, face-to-face interaction. Baby and toddler swings that allow the child and adult to create a bond while enjoying the swing. Waterfall swing, zip line, rock wall, bungee jumping, tire swings, whatever kind of swing you like. We are confident we have something for everyone. Having something for everyone means that there are several pains that we relieve of our target market that will keep the customers coming back. Children often experience the pain of getting bored or being limited to what they can do because of basic weather conditions. And if we're being honest, parents and grandparents also suffer from the pain of the child's boredom. Oscillation Nation will be indoors and provide a safe place for wiggles and giggles to be released while making lifelong memories. For teens and young adults, This is a destination that provides a unique and fresh entertainment options. Additionally, we are open later than most entertainment options. If it's 10:30 at night on the weekend and some young folks and friends are looking for something fun to do, but most entertainment options are already closed and they don't want to go bowling for the third time this month, they can come right to Oscillation Nation. We have plenty of fun options, as well as tasty concessions that will be sure to hit the spot. Investing in Oscillation Nation is not only an opportunity for financial returns, but more importantly, it is an opportunity to invest in the activity and enjoyment of the young and old alike. Of course, to ensure people come and enjoy our facilities, we need to make sure we reach our key target markets in children, parents and grandparents, and young adults. As Chief Marketing Officer, I and Mr. Campbell will be visiting local schools, high schools, and universities to give flyers and develop relationships with the local student bodies of the schools and reach the parents of the students as well. To further reach the parents and grandparents, we will have a mail distribution channel to reach the homes of local residents near our facility. Social media will be used to attract the teens and young adults with exciting content from our park. As a team, we're completely bought in and excited for this opportunity. At this point, Mr. Fell will go over some of the detail and logistics of the building and operations.
Thank you, Mr. Jaramillo. An important part of our proposition is the facility. And so we had to figure out and find a building that would suit our needs at Oscillation Nation. We looked and thought of the idea of constructing from the ground up, but that still posed a problem of finding a suitable place to build it on. If we were going to construct, we had to find the land for that. We also realized we could save costs if we could find a building that had enough square footage and adequate ceiling height for the equipment that we wanted to offer. We decided on a property that is located in Franksville, Wisconsin, near Caledonia. Franksville is approximately 20 minutes west of Racine and 24 minutes south of Milwaukee. The property is conveniently situated alongside I-94 and allows for easy access off of the interstate. The building was in use as an industrial machining company, and it had all the qualifications that we were looking for. We needed a building with a lot of space, and that building has that with its approximate 30,800 square feet. This gives us enough room for the equipment, seating, and office space. The ceilings also were 38 feet tall, allowing us to have the height requirements of the taller equipment that we wanted to install. Looking at the floor layout gives just a view of how Oscillation Nation will be set up to give our customers joy and entertainment. In our renovations of the building, we will be installing 6 different unique types of swings. There will be 6 bays of our elite tripod swings, allowing 4 to 8 occupants to be on them. The 14 friendship style swings and the 12 expression style swings both allow 2 people to swing at once. Along with those, there will be 8 tire swings, 2 bays of the waterfall curtain swings, and 1 wheelchair handicap accessible swing. We will also be installing a 900 square foot rock climbing wall, a bungee system, and a 150-foot zip line system into a foam pit. If our customers do need to take a break, we also will have seating area and concessions if they so desire. Each of these attractions is different and exciting, and it provides the customer with options for their experience. The main point of our business is to provide that unique experience for our customers. We want to have great customer interaction, and we trust that the customers will come back. How do we achieve this? By providing service through safety, entertainment, and reliability. When a customer enters our business, we want them to have an enjoyable time. They first will be greeted by staff at our front counter and given options on the amount of time they can purchase. They'll be given a wristband with a code on that wristband unique to them, and then shown a 3-minute video on safety and rules. After that, they're free to do whatever they like in the building that we offer. They could first go on the rock climbing course, or they could take a ride on the zip line. After that, they may want to go on the bungee, or they could go on the swings. It is really up to them. We have equipment for all ages, and we do hope that they experience enjoyment and fun. While on their visit, we want our guests to feel that they are safe on our equipment and that we can take care of them. Our staff will be around to answer questions and to help monitor and help the guests. Safety is of the utmost importance to us when we are serving them. After our customers have enjoyed their time, we will ask for their input on their experience and trust that they do come back again to enjoy what we have to offer. Mr. Campbell will now discuss our proposition.
Thank you, Mr. Fell. Oscillation Nation is offering 75% ownership of our business in exchange for an investment of $1,016,000. The capital will be used to finance Oscillation Nation's startup costs and will allow our business to operate as planned. Each of the 6 founding members of Oscillation Nation will be contributing $25,000, bringing total owner's equity to $1,166,000 at the start of year 1. Although an expensive startup, Oscillation Nation projects to make almost $1.5 million in revenue through year 1, and we also project to break even midway through year 2. We project a rate of return at 27%, making the initial investment worth over $3.3 million at the end of year 5. Diving deeper into our sales forecast, Oscillation Nation projects revenue from 5 main sources, namely our hourly sales, concession sales, merchandise sales, season pass sales, and our facility rental revenue. The yearly revenue is shown on screen, averaging a 10% growth rate after year 2. Our business has a high ceiling in regard to our capacity, as the capacity utilization after year 5 is around 20%, meaning that Oscillation Nation will be able to accommodate for additional customers without issue for the foreseeable future. In regard to business growth and ambition, we have 2 main projects planned for years 2 and years 3. In year 2, we plan on expanding our parking lot to accommodate for more vehicles, especially larger vehicles such as buses. Then in year 3, we plan on adding an outdoor area for customers to enjoy during the months that allow for that. Specific plans for the outdoor area are currently in the works. I would now like to explain what each of us will be doing at Oscillation Nation. Each of the 6 of us plan on participating in the development and operations of our park, meaning there will be no silent partners. I, Nathan Campbell, the CEO, will also serve as the lead decision maker, communicating constantly with you, the investors, as to courses of action. I will also take an active role in the marketing alongside Mr. Jaramillo as we seek to increase our customer base through participation in schools and community events. JP Jaramillo, Oscillation's Chief Marketing Officer, will engage in marketing activities for the company and will spend much of his time traveling throughout the greater Milwaukee area. He will handle all of our mailings and will be instrumental in creating excitement for our product. Luke Fell will function as the Chief Operations Officer for Oscillation Nation. In short, Mr. Fell will maintain the facility and ensure every employee is fully equipped for their job. He will also be able to serve customers when needed, and any training for equipment maintenance will go through Mr. Fell, and he'll be fully prepared for that task once he learns from our contractor guy out at Workhorse General Contractors. Answering to Mr. Fell directly will be the General Manager, Rob Sonnenberg. Mr. Sonnenberg will oversee all hourly employees and will be able to function in any capacity around our facility. In some respects, Mr. Sonnenberg could be seen as a jack of all trades and will be critical in the operations of Oscillation Nation. Oscillation Nation's Human Resource Director will be Kevin Fisher. Mr. Fisher's goal is to maintain a positive atmosphere around our facility, and he will frequently interact with both shift supervisors and the customers. Aside from day-to-day operations, Mr. Fisher will take charge of employee training and our certification programs. His involvement with the company will be manifested in the engaged and interactive employees that he hires. Rounding out the management team here at Oscillation Nation will be Chief Financial Officer Scott Henderson. Mr. Henderson will be keeping the books at Oscillation Nation and will also forecast revenues and expenses for the park. Aside from his financial obligations, Mr. Henderson will participate in lead generation for our marketing to take advantage of. The 6 of us are excited for the opportunity to provide a relevant and unique entertainment option in the form of our swing park, Oscillation Nation. The only question I have left is, will you take a swing and partner with us?
All right, gentlemen, I have a question for you. You keep calling this a swing park. How will you develop the interior of your facility to make me feel like I'm in a park? I basically saw rows of swings. So how will you create a park environment in your facility?
Yeah, I can handle that. Like you mentioned, our layout is so that we can maximize the equipment that we wanted to use. And so how it's going to be a park is that, you walk in and there'll be people left, right, and center swinging, and similar to a park when you are at the park, everything is in front of you that you can use. So we have our layout set up so once you enter the building, besides meeting the initial purchasing area, you'll see everything right in front of you, and you'll be able to be kind of wowed at, like, wow, this is all that they have. That's pretty awesome. And so that's really how it seems like a park to us. We walk in and we present all of our stuff immediately there.
So I want to be more specific on that. So like what kind of decor will you have? I mean, like in other places you might have like a jungle theme or, you know, like swinging through vines. I don't know. Can't you make it a little bit more specific? Like what kind of, how are you, what are you doing on the interior of it? Is that more what you were getting at,
Yep.
Mr. Boyd? Okay. Can you answer to that?
Yeah, so as a design for our layout, we haven't come up with a specific theme we'd like to address. But as for the atmosphere, we'll definitely be playing music over our PA system, having just a lively atmosphere. And then you can see on our walls, we're going to have our sponsors' banners there, kind of symbolizing the people that we like to work with for our business. So that's an opportunity there. But going back to your point, we don't have a specific theme that we have laid out for our facility at the moment.
Can I follow on with that as well? From the picture of your diagram, the diagram of your layout, I can't help but think of when I open up a can of sardines. And so they're all, it looks like it's all packed in there really tight. The pictures up here I like because it's inviting, it's open, it's, you know, there's plenty of room around it for swings and, you know, people jumping off and various things. And I looked at your diagram and it looks like it's really tight. Has any of you actually done some measurements to make sure that there's a safe distance between each item?
I can answer that. So with the layout, the program that was used was SketchUp, and it allowed for, when looking at the suppliers and getting all the measurements off of the swings themselves, I was able to look at, this is the measurement for them, and this is the required measurement of, you know, if they're going to be swinging, there's going to be an extra room that's needed for that. And so with the layout, the boxes around the swings, that is the required space that is needed for them. So there is enough room with where they're at with the measurements in the building. And so with that layout, we wanted to get, probably that's what we wanted to go with the amount of swings. It may look tight, but that generally is the space that was needed for them.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, with our diagram, the space taken up by each swing is not how much space that it occupies, but say someone swings, you're obviously going back and forth. So with the whole radius, that is the amount of space that would be required as a total. So for the diagram, there's going to be a lot more space between each swing that it showed because especially the suppliers supplied us with the dimensions that are a lot greater than what the actual, what it's going to look like, basically.
What are your actual barriers around those swings?
Yeah,
What are the barriers? What do they look like? What construction? Is it just a rope? Is it just a painted line? What are you doing?
So we're going to use some sort of, with the renovation costs of like the flooring and walking, there's going to be specific walking areas with the rubber flooring. This is generally where we want the people to be at. We also wanted to implement either a rope system or something of the matter that this is a line that, you know, we don't want you to cross this because people will be swinging and it's hazardous for you to be in that area.
So have you ever, do any of you have kids?
I can answer that.
I know.
Let's really take the easy way.
Once you let them go, they go places you don't want them to go. So I would encourage it to be more than just a rope because they might just say, hey, that's an opportunity to swing right there. And they're going to be all over everywhere. So
something
you
more
really
about
need to think through that process a little bit more.
I just want to add on to that.
Yes.
And I agree with you that it is something we're definitely going to consider more during startup and even maybe during the first quarter of operations. But that's one of the jobs of a park monitor or one of us is the officer team that's when they're on the floor. We're going to be watching for hazards like that. If a child's running around, not paying attention, we're going to try and stop and say, you need to watch out. The ropes are there for a reason. So I definitely understand the concern, and that's something we'll look into more. But we also have personnel there for that.
What's the capacity? How many kids can be in here swinging at any given time?
So currently the capacity of the building is at 270. And to get that, we looked up through the fire code of the square footage of the building, but also by the amount of swings that we had to offer. The amount was, I believe, 128 with the total amount of people that could be swinging at one time.
The 128 kids, in essence, could be swinging in swings at any given time. And how many monitors would there be?
So for year one, we are only going to have approximately 3 monitors. And we kind of got the idea of how we're going to schedule the amount of workers who would be watching on the floor based off of one of the experts in this area, this industry. Their monitors, there's one monitor for 20 guests, so that they can watch over approximately 20 people at a time. So what we would want is have those monitors out there, and then also the general manager, Rob Sonnenberg, and myself as HR, we would constantly probably be out on the floor watching for people for situations like that.
So can I follow on to that question? Because you said that in year one, you only have 3 park monitors. And I did some rough math on the number of hours that you're open, and it's a little over, it's about 130, give or take. And I'm assuming you have a little bit of time beforehand that you're checking the equipment, like you said, before it opens. So that comes up to more than 3 full-time equivalents right there. So, and that's assuming that there's no doubling up at all. So I guess maybe we're perhaps a little concerned that you're not gonna have enough monitors with, how many did you say, 120? Yeah, that's a lot of people to keep an eye on.
Can you repeat that number you said for the hours that we're?
Yeah, about 120
So
for the week.
For per week, we're open 64 hours.
Yeah, to say, because you're open 7 days a week.
Yeah, so
Roughly 10 hours.
Yeah, so Sunday
Okay.
through Thursday, it's 2 to 10,
All right,
which is
8 hours, okay. Oh, because that's right, I'm sorry, you're right, your math,
And
your
then
math is
Friday-
wrong, because I
Friday-
did 2, I assumed 2 park
Sunday
monitors.
through Thursday is 2 to 10, Friday is 2 to midnight,
Okay,
and then
yeah,
Saturday is 10
you're
to
right,
9.
I was assuming 2 park monitors. So I still think we've got some concerns with the number of monitors.
Yeah, and to get back to Kevin's point, the monitors are not the only people that are going to be watching our facility. You know, even think of literally any of us. We're not, me being a CEO is not me sitting at my desk all day not doing anything. We're all taking an active role and participating in the operations of the business. And so it wouldn't be uncommon to see me helping us as well. And now I wouldn't be trained in specific areas such as with the harnesses, with Rockwell and stuff, but with general supervision, any of us and all of us will be participating in that as well.
But I would say if you're asking $1 million from us for a 75% stake in the operations, I would actually want my CEO, since we're putting up so much money, to be doing things other than watching a bunch of kids with runny noses run around this business, right? So I would like to see you guys continue to grow the revenues, because that's my concern. You're asking so much from us. It's a big, big chunk. And since we're on that topic, the building is about $2 million. You're asking $1 million, how much was it from us?
$1,016,000.
$1,016,000. I understand that we're going to be putting up, we're covering 20% of the loan to purchase the facility, and perhaps this is a question directed at Mr. Henderson. The rest is going to be financed with the bank. What are you doing with the rest of our money?
Well, we have significant startup costs that need to be addressed. The renovation of the building will cost over $270,000. We have significant equipment purchases that need to be made. Over $206,000 worth of equipment that need to be purchased. Total startup costs outside of equipment come to over $555,000. So that's where most of the money will be.
Okay, that gives me a clearer understanding of it.
Did you look into the possibility of having the equipment financed through your people you're buying that from, your suppliers?
We did look into that. We decided against that for a multitude of reasons. We're keeping our options open, however. Nothing here is absolutely set in stone. If it does come to the point where costs are more significant than we realize, then we would look into it.
But you refer to your swing suppliers as a key partnership, okay? And I'm trying to figure out what are they doing for you on an ongoing basis? I think your cost is $1,500 or something like that for the swings. If we're talking about a $3 million, what was his valuation, 3.3 million or something like that? How is $1,500 someone who's only providing $1,500 worth of stuff of key partnership? What are they doing going forward?
Obviously, those swings would eventually need to be replaced, so we would look into keeping those suppliers if we ever needed to replace swings. That would be the major way of how to keep that partnership.
Yeah, and just to bounce off that, just the fact that they can market their equipment through using us as an example, saying, look, we have our equipment in Oscillation Nation and they're using it to great effect. And Vice versa, we can use their equipment and put their brand on their stuff, make sure that they're represented correctly.
Which goes back to Dr. Foster's point about, if, why not let them provide that instead of you buy it outright? And then still allow them to advertise within your facility. You're gonna allow them to advertise, make them pay.
So again, you've emphasized your startup costs are rather high. Did you look at staging your startup rather than having 128 seats day one? Maybe have 50 seats day one and then grow into the business? Is there a reason why you think you need to dive in 100%? You only get 20% occupancy.
Obviously,
Look at
our idea is somewhat new, and so we wanted to have as many attractions as we could open day one. So just to kind of justify why go to Sky Zone, or why go to Oscillation Nation when there's places like Sky Zone. We want to have as many attractions open as we can.
And that's a good point. I understand that, having your stuff, have it full. What sort of competition do you see Sky Zone, how do you see them as a competitor? That's fine. Yeah, you're the finance guy, let's go to
Well, we see them as a competitor in that our industry is entertainment, but it's more of an active entertainment, and it's indoor specifically with Sky Zone. So similar, but yet we're very unique, we're different. And also with our attractions, they're much more accommodating for all ages. Not all ages are going to be able to participate by jumping on the trampoline, doing.
Sure, but what's going to prevent them from already knowing about Sky Zone and going to Sky Zone instead of coming to you? What are you going to do to wiggle, I thought that was clever, wiggle those customers away from them?
Well, with our marketing strategy, we're very passionate about it. We're putting in $25,000 ourselves. We really believe in this. We're passionate. We believe in it. We're going to be out there in the community, at local schools, universities, student bodies, community events, mailing distribution, social media. We're going to be getting our word out there.
Yeah,
So what
and,
is the plan? I mean, you're going to be present, but what is the plan for marketing?
To create those relationships, to get the word out, to let people know about Oscillation Nation and how.
So I think, like, for instance, are there some specific events that you have planned that you've already got on your calendar?
Sure.
Could you share those?
Sure. There's basic, just local community events, maybe that's a baseball game, things like that. 5K events, sponsoring banners, we have that in our costs, under costs, just supporting and banners and things like that, 5K events.
Can I go back to the earlier scenario? We were talking about the kids with runny noses. Well, let's assume that they all love that waterfall slide. What are the plans? How do you sort of facilitate a group of kids who all want the same stuff?
Yeah, I
At the
can
same
say that.
time?
So part of the admission process is every kid will receive a wristband, and on that wristband there'll be a different code. And so we definitely recognize that with the waterfall swing especially, there's going to be more demand than we have to meet. And so instead of having kids wait in a line and have to use up their hour of admission to waiting, we're going to have one employee there basically writing down the number on their wristband, and so they'll be in line without having to wait in line. So they'll be basically putting their name in as they're going to be on next. But during that time that they wait, they can participate in other swings as well. And then once their time is ready, then the employee calls them up and they're able to go. So it's going to be a potential issue that we're not going to be able to meet the demand for that. But we want to make sure that the customers aren't out waiting by just standing around. They're going to still be able to participate in it.
Should we have
What
time
does
limit
the
on this?
child do after they're soaking wet?
The actual waterfall swing doesn't make them wet.
What is that?
That child is sitting underneath a flow of water.
Yeah, so ours, the water is coming down immediately before they enter for our design. There's multiple different designs.
So they'll
They don't
never get
swing through the
wet.
water?
They do not get wet.
Unless they want to lay down in that basin underneath, they will not get
They
wet.
will lay down.
Stop your swing to get wet.
If I go back to what Mr. Board was asking, did you guys explore the possibility of leasing the building versus purchasing it?
We did. We were concerned because of the significant renovations that were required of negotiating that out with the owner of the building. So we decided to purchase it last
Can you tell me how the whole wristband thing works? Because let's say I purchase an hour with my child. Is there technology in this band that will like go off after an hour that tells me I'm done? And how do you as employers identify whose time is up and when you're out of the park and all that?
I can answer that.
Yes, sir.
So with the wristband system that we wanted to put in place, there will be different colors, and these will be distributed out depending on when they come in to purchase. So probably more on the hour basis, and we'll switch up the colors on those hours. And so when they go in the park, they'll get the code on that wristband. They'll go have their time. Once their hour is up, we'll announce over the PA system. Let's say they're there at 2 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock. We announce this colored wristband, which is the one that they purchased at 2, is your time is up. Please come to the front counter. If they don't want to leave, we would probably recommend that they purchase more time and try to get them to stay a little longer if possible. Otherwise, their time is up, and we'd want them, to exit the building at that point.
So is there someone that rounds them all up and walks through?
That would probably.
That would be part of the park monitor's
That's another
job.
The
part.
bouncer?
So while they go around, while park monitors are also monitoring for the, make sure people are safe. The other thing is when the call goes out, they'll make sure to look around that the people are not gonna like herd them out, but they're gonna, after a little bit say like, oh, your time is up, would you like to purchase more time? They'd make sure to ask that when they're talking.
Did you include that in your portfolio? I don't recall seeing that.
I'm not, not every aspect of what the park monitor's job was listed in the portfolio, but the major functions of liability and watching for people. But I'm not sure if it was 100% clarified in there, but that is one of the jobs.
No, I'm not talking about your,
The
I was talking
wristband
about the
system?
wristband,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
the whole operation of the wristband.
So what happens if somebody comes in at like 1:55? So they would get the 1 to 2 hour ban, but they would be announced 5 minutes later that they have to leave.
We would round up. We would always decide towards the customer having a little bit extra time.
So some people are gonna get a lot of time.
So Mr. Sonnenberg, you have a capacity of 280 people. I think I counted 152 seats between the swings and the dining area. What do the other 128 people do if they're in the building and you're at max capacity?
So as of right now, we're not expecting there to be classified max capacity within the first 5 years at one time. If we were to get overloaded, we'd probably have to hold people until others left the facility, because otherwise they're going to be paying to do nothing, and that would be bad customer service.
Yeah, and that is something that actually happens. When talking to Sky Zone, at least multiple times every weekend, they're having to tell people, sorry, we're full, not able to put them. So
how will you define full?
Yeah, so
Your occupancy load's 280, how are you defining full?
full is if someone is not going to be receiving value for what they pay. If they're going to pay for an hour and they're not going to be able to be swinging for the majority of that time, then we do not live with them because that would be wasting their money.
So is full 128? Is it 152? Is it?
Full will be including the concessionaire because not everyone is going to be swinging every single minute that they're at the park.
There's also things like the bungee jumping or the rock wall where it's going to be having multiple people, and then there's going to be a line for that typically.
So in that, do you delineate between parents who are there just because their kids are there and aren't going to participate?
Yeah, that'll be done through the colored wristband. Anyone who actually pays will have a colored wristband, and then anyone who wants to just, like if a parent wants to be there with their kid, they will receive a white wristband. So it'll be a clear indicator that they're able to be there, walking around. They can even push their child on the swing if they want, but they will not be actually using the equipment.
And if they hop on a ride, then it's the monitor that says.
Yeah.
That is part of what the monitor watch.
And how do you ensure that someone's not walking out with someone else's kid?
Yeah, and that goes right along with the wristband system that we have. So the parent and child will have the same code on that wristband.
But not the same color?
Correct. So if a kid walks out and we see that they're with an older person, potentially their parent, then there is someone at the door that will check the number to make sure that that parent is walking around with the kid that has the same code. And so those codes are printed out, but we have the capacity to make sure that the codes are matching up for at least some.
What happens if I drop my wristband?
It's a good question. Mr. Club can answer that.
I'm sure that'll come down to if they purchase a wristband, there will be some sort of receipt in our system saying they purchased that with their name, obviously. So if they have proof of that, hey, I did have a wristband for this, they can come back up to the front counter, I misplaced my
What
wristband.
about Junior takes it off?
Like the child of the
Yeah.
parent, and the code doesn't match at that point. I think that'd be along the same lines of the parent buys the wristband for themselves and the child, and then the code would be the same. It would show on the receipt with their name.
I know, but I'm just concerned that if I let my kid loose, which is what will happen. I let my kid loose, you go play, daddy's at the concessions eating hot dogs and popcorn or whatever, don't bother the kid. And then the kid, someone takes it off or kid takes it off. What then?
I think that comes down to our responsibility of realizing, hey, if someone's in here without a wristband, we need to make sure we know where your wristband is at. If they lost it, we need to figure out immediately, or that's a priority. If they don't have a wristband, what happened to it? If they don't have it, we need to figure out how we can get the one back for them.
Perhaps what Dr. Drost is getting at is perhaps if you pursued any other means technologically to kind of ensure integrity of, like, maybe that'd be something to add some more costs that you ask for more money, but like taking a picture of them as they come through and then matching it with a number or something like that. So I think there's some opportunity to leverage some technology out there in various ways, like even with the wristbands that we could.
Yeah, and it is important to note that this procedure we're doing with our wristband is above and beyond what the industry does. For instance, at Sky Zone, the parent-child relationship as far as leaving and coming in, they don't monitor any of that. So we're trying to make sure we're a little bit more secure than what they are offering.
Because you're dealing with younger kids. Your audience is different. That may be one area where you distinguish yourself from Sky Zone.
So Sky Zone today is in the midst of multiple lawsuits over injuries. What have you all done to protect yourself?
So I can take that. So we will have a liability waiver in place that parents need to sign for kids when they come in. And if you're over 18, you can sign yourself. And on top of that, we have a security system with cameras in our facility. So if an accident does happen, we will have recorded evidence of how it happened. And our park monitors, it's their responsibility to make sure the equipment's being used how it's supposed to. And to stop kids and explain the rules if they're using it for other things that don't follow the guidelines. And that will help us to avoid negligence in the case.
Are they medically trained at all?
They are.
Do they have any capabilities?
They're first aid certified from Red Cross. That's part of their training. When they go in, they're also going to be certified in first aid and things like that. So if an accident were to occur, they can provide some immediate medical attention on the scene. And if it's serious enough, then we can call 911 or get the appropriate help if they need.
So what happens if a parent drops off a minor and that individual falls off a swing and breaks their arm and the parent isn't there they just dropped them off? Can you walk us through what happens?
Yeah. So the parent's information will be on the waiver for that kid. So we'll be able to contact the parents as soon as possible. And if it's a serious injury, emergency services will be contacted right away.
So what happens if you can't reach the parents?
Yeah, if the injury is something that they need to be addressed and needs to be addressed immediately, then we will bring in the emergency response service to take care of that. That's part of just our due diligence as far as taking care of customers. Granted, we're not going to do anything ourselves. That's above our means, but we'll bring in, obviously, medical professionals to take care of if a kid breaks a leg or something.
But let's pretend Junior's taken to the hospital and without a parent there. You can't just say that's not my responsibility.
Yeah, so just think about if you were a parent and your son breaks his leg and you're not there, would you rather him just be waiting there in pain for
No,
a while?
I'm okay with him going to the hospital, right? But my issue is what happens once the kid leaves the facility in the ambulance? What sort of follow-up are you going to do?
Yeah, and like Rob mentioned, we'll have the parents' contact information, so.
And you can't
we'll
get a
be-
hold of the parent.
Yeah, so in that case, I'm fairly certain the parent will come back to the park to see where their child is at some point. And once they do, we can communicate with them, no problem with that.
Yeah, depends on the child.
So an 8-year-old kid breaks their leg on your swing, you call emergency personnel, stick the kid in an ambulance. Now the 8-year-old child is at an emergency room all by itself. Is that what you're suggesting? I think that was the question.
Yeah.
Yes, that would.
So one of you is not going to get in an ambulance with the child? You're not going to follow the child to the hospital?
I think
You're
that's
not going to wait for
I
the
think
parent?
that's the park monitor job.
I'm serious, I mean, your liability is excessive. You've got $280,000 a year in insurance. What's it covering?
Property and liability insurance.
Look, if you want to delineate
So
exactly what that covers.
that's both the property and the liability. So looking at that with the liability, after researching and looking into that, we wanted a large policy. And so, I mean, I looked through multiple different insurance companies, and Progressive gave some information towards me saying if your policy limit is $1 million aggregate, you're covered up to $1 million for that single incident. No more for $1 million for that policy term. And the policy terms usually are annually. So we wanted something that was upwards of $10 million policy, more than that. Because if we get sued in that time, or if we don't want that to happen, but if that does happen, we want to be fully covered. So that's where that $120,000, $130,000 worth of liability insurance for that year comes from.
Can I ask a question about how do you get to the $301,000 in admission sales? How many people are going through the turnstile to reach that number? And that's quarter 1.
So our quarter 1 revenue, you said?
Yeah, how many people are you going to need to service to reach the $300,000 in sales?
Yeah, so just for a little background, to break even for year 1, which we do not, that requires us having 384 people per day come out of our business. And so currently per day, in year 1, quarter 1, it's right around 320. And that's basically where that 328 comes from.
So
320 people a day, which is not everyone per day, because on the weekends, especially Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is when we anticipate the most people coming in. And so Monday through Thursday are going to be the more dead days, and that's definitely through what the industry has showed us this far.
Did you take into account any seasonality in the business? Is that more heavily utilized during the winter months than it is the summer months?
So, with the sales forecast in particular, with the breakdown just year 1 into quarters, we recognize that probably in the winter months is going to be more volume for us, but when coming up with the sales forecast, just by the base of will we open for longer, and then we're just going to be generating more revenue because of word of mouth and more marketing, that specific instance didn't impact the sales forecast for year 1, but we do definitely realize that in the winter months, that's when more revenue will potentially come in.
Speaking of sales.
What is a season? If you have a seasonal pass, what is a season? Mr. Fisher?
The season would probably be set on a certain amount of time, not necessarily with the the year like summer or something, but it'd be more set amount of time. But
So what is that time?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I believe Mr. Fell or
Our season passes are for 30 or 90 day increments.
No, but you have, you don't have a year, like a whole,
It's basically like a month or 3-month pass, and that goes right along with the seasonality. So if you wanted to do one for mainly the winter, you're going to buy the 3-month or 90-day pass.
I thought you had something like a longer term. Never mind.
So related to sales forecast, I'm kind of curious what process you went through to come up with your sales price, the rates that you're going to charge? Can you talk to that? You, Mr. Ogden?
What are you charging?
Yeah, so JP, if you want to, otherwise I can address that.
Sure. Well, for one thing, we looked at what we needed to break even, the prices that we're gonna need, to do that. And then additionally, we looked at competitors in the industry, at what pricing they have, and we have lower prices, more affordable prices.
So can you tell us what some of those competitors charge for various things?
Yeah, so for Sky Zone, for instance, the 1 hour pass of age over the age of 5 is $17 an hour.
And what are you charging for the same thing?
On the weekdays, it's $10, on the weekends, it's $13.
A couple of questions, one related to, again, marketing kind of related. I saw that you're going to do a lot of flyers, and I couldn't quite tell, it's going to parents, grandparents, schools, people like that. I mean, a lot of people fall into that category, so I'm assuming you're just blasting out to anybody that's considered a parent or grandparent, which is a lot of flyers. Is there some place in your financials that you had the mailings and the brochures sent?
Yes.
Because I couldn't quite figure out where that was at in your financials.
Scott, do you know specifically where that is? It is listed.
Because I mean, thousands of mailers is a pretty high postage.
It is under supplies, the supplies expense.
Supplies, okay, so that's part of supplies expense, you're mailing.
Yes.
I'm curious to know why you're giving up 75% of the company. How did you come to that?
Basically, because of the significant amount required from investors in order to provide a satisfactory rate of return, a majority of the company had to be offered. As far as why you still need us, we're running the day-to-day operations of the business, so.
But
that's
that
kind
means
of-
you're not the owners anymore.
That is very true. So we would obviously look to our investors for input or any suggestions that they put.
So financially, one of the challenges of this particular venture is that you've got, as you admitted, such high startup costs. Is there anything that we could think about to do to reduce those initial startup costs? And number one, give us a higher rate of return, and number two, maybe give you guys a bigger share of the business.
Sure. Obviously, one thing that we could look into is providing putting the equipment up for collateral for the loan. We are definitely open to that, especially if our startup costs are more significant than initially forecast.
Okay, good, that's a start.
Would you
Anything else?
consider, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm interested in hearing more about
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Yeah, to
Anything
add to
else?
that, as of now, all 6 of us are going to be participating in the 6-month startup, and that's because, well, especially, so me and JP will be marketing, getting that initial interest in the business.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Mr. Fell will be kind of foreseeing the renovations, making sure that everything is up to date. Kevin will be with hiring and stuff, so we can exercise to see if 6 months of work for all of us is needed. Potentially, Kevin might only have to work for 3 or 2 months on that time. So we could, and especially Rob as well, until the employees come, we could reduce their work beforehand a little bit to reduce our wages.
Are you willing to work for lower wages or not have benefits? It looks like you have a pretty healthy pay package for brand new, for starting out, and you also
Yeah,
have
yeah,
some pretty
Kevin's
significant
happy.
benefits along with it.
We chose to go with a good, as you were saying, like a healthy salary, mainly because we are heavily invested in this idea, and we don't want to have it where we're working another job during the startup period or things like that, or planning. We don't want to be distracted like that. We want to be focused solely on the business, and we want to show you investors that we're not going to have it where we're getting paid, only $30,000 a year, something that maybe one of us is going to, leave because we're not making enough money. We wanted to have enough money so we can solely be focused on the company, and to show you that, yeah, we can be here for the long term.
Yeah, were you addressing mainly with salary or hourly employees with that?
Well, it wouldn't be the employees, it'd be you all.
Okay.
Yeah, for salary and benefits, and significant benefits.
Yeah, so we would bounce off that. I think that you can see through our $25,000 investment each, we do believe in this company, and that means that we're willing to take a little pay cut in order to see if business succeed.
What are the costs of those benefits? I noticed education benefit, child care benefit, but I didn't see those identified.
So that has to do somewhat with what we're going to be doing during startup. As as Nathan said earlier, the idea is that, well, I'm going to be working on possibly trying to hire employees. During the startup period, I'm going to be working on the training process and what we'll go into that with Mr. Sonberg, and we're also be dealing more with like, okay, well, how can we help with the education program? What would that look like more in detail? So these are things that we want to put into our business and very much interested in as a way to show our employees our care for them as part of our culture, but it's definitely something that we're going to work out during the startup period.
So those aren't included in the financials?
No, those aren't.
Thanks for coming again.
Don't pump.
That's all we expect.